What's up, youth ministry? This is AC. This is my friend Kurt. Let's talk youth ministry.
What's up, dude?
How are you?
Good. Shaking hands as if we haven't seen
Yes.
each other, but we just had lunch together at
did. It was
the
good.
one and only Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Proud sponsor of the Let's Talk Youth Ministry video podcast. It's not true.
Oh,
it's not true.
Every week.
Although one
You
of
do get free
the guy that
Chick-fil-A.
owns this one is a very active volunteer in our high school ministry.
Yeah, he's a life group leader. He's actually my co-leader.
Good dude.
What a coincidence.
What a coincidence. And yet we still paid for our lunch today.
I know.
So something's wrong with that. Okay. If people didn't watch the show last week,
Yeah.
they can go to morethandodgeball.com and scroll down a little ways and find last week's episode.
Yeah.
I think it was on Monday morning.
Yeah.
Or they can go to YouTube, the Let's Talk Youth Ministry channel on YouTube.
Yep.
Last week, in our little mini series on small groups, we interviewed Chip Bragg, who is one of our small group leaders, long time 9-year volunteer.
Yep.
Awesome guy. If you didn't see it, it's well worth seeing.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to cover two topics. Topic number one, we're each going to share three. If we could only, we're going to pick our three. It'll be 6.
Yeah.
But if I could only train small group leaders on 3 things, if you could only train small group leaders on 3 things, what would they be? Yeah. And then, I can't remember what the other thing we're going to talk about.
The other thing is expectations, parent expectations. So I'm going to actually throw a few questions your way for you to just take it home in terms of you have 2 kids, one who came through our life group process,
One
and
who's
then
in it.
one who's in it. He's in his last year.
Yep.
That's crazy, dude.
Crazy, man.
Oh,
Crazy.
I remember him coming freshman
You
year.
remember when he was a little dude?
Hairs.
Bieber hair.
Justin Bieber-ish hair.
He was like 5'1".
Yeah. Now he's like 6'3", probably weighed 180, rock solid.
It's crazy.
What the heck happened?
He still has nice hair.
He does.
It's not Bieber hair, but it's very nice. Very nice hair. Trust me, he spends enough time on it. It better look good. That dude.
No.
I tell him, I don't spend any time on my hair. Why do you have to spend so much time on your hair?
Dude, quick story about your son.
Oh, no. You
Guys
share
trip.
it publicly?
I'm sharing it publicly
shoot.
because this was definitely was, I said, way to go, bro. Like,
To him or to me?
To him.
Oh, good.
To him. I'm trying to make it really short. Guys trip. I kind of told all the guys, I said, hey, if you can remember everyone's name at the end of this trip, you get $25 to Starbucks.
Wow. All right.
And we had almost 30 guys there.
Yeah.
At the end, we had 3 guys. Cole was one.
Who remembered everybody's name.
Who remembered at the end. The first 2 guys remembered everyone, but missed one of each.
Yeah.
And so Cole goes. And I said who remembers the most about each one, not necessarily just their name, because somebody could remember their name.
Right.
He goes through and gives us specific incidents that he had with each person that week their name.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I mean,
so like Brian and you and I did this. Wow.
Dude, you were kicking everybody's butt because you are a jiu-jitsu king, and you intimidated me, and so so I want you to be my friend. It was hilarious. It was awesome, dude.
Yeah, good for him.
I was like,
good for him.
Yeah, it was the best.
That's good to know he's done something right this year. Okay.
Since you're raising awesome God-fearing kids that went through our ministry, I want to just ask you a few questions, and you can kind of talk about expectations.
Gotcha.
What do you expect from the ministry as a parent?
Last week we interviewed Chip as a volunteer.
Yeah.
This week we're interviewing a parent. I just happen to be that parent.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Awesome.
Very Bruce Willerish.
Bruce
Am I
Willis.
saying that?
Bruce Willis.
Willis-ish.
Bruce Willis. I get Bruce Willis all the time.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I even get me some Vin Diesel. Not very often. You know what I get more than either of those? Jason Kidd. The basketball player, Jason Kidd. I get it all the time.
I need all 3.
Weird.
All 3. I just get Kanye West.
You do get Kanye
everywhere.
West. Everywhere.
I mean, literally, I was at In-N-Out. The girl's typing, and she looks up and freaks out because she thought I was Kanye West. And I'm like, I look nothing
and you
like
said,
him.
no, that's Jesus to you.
Jesus.
That's Jesus.
Now make my sandwich fresh. No.
Speaking of Jesus, and we'll get on.
Okay.
You know, we have a kid in our ministry. You know, Johnny Kreiser.
Yeah.
Freshman.
Yeah.
He was in my life group last year in 8th grade. We have a freshman who loves to take pictures of waves. That's all he does, is take pictures of waves. He's got this fancy water housing so he can go. He never takes pictures of surfers or it's just the wave. It's awesome. He's made a little bit of money on it. His dentist wants to decorate his office in Johnny's wave pictures. So he's trying to come up with a name for his wave company. You'll never guess the name. Guess what he's calling his company that takes pictures of waves?
What?
Yaw Waves. Like Yaw Waves.
That's only a freshman.
That's the name of his company, Yaw Waves. Okay,
that's
all right.
Okay,
so
let's get into this.
Here we go. 3 things.
Yeah.
If I could only train my leaders on 3 things. Now, by the time people watch this, for most people, small groups are off and running, but we're probably always doing ongoing training. Totally. We have our small group training tomorrow. So, 3 things. It's tough. I think not in any particular order. 1 would be the purpose of small groups. Yeah. I want my small group leaders to know why we do small groups. Yeah. What are we trying to accomplish in our small groups? Where do small groups fit into our overall ministry structure? Yeah. Everything we do is important, but everything we do needs to have a reason why we do it. Yeah. So we can answer questions from parents. When parents say, why does small group have so much deep Bible study? It's too deep. Yeah. Oh, because it's our discipleship tool. Yeah. It's our method of discipleship. Or, how come small groups don't have enough Bible study? It seems like they're just for fun. Yeah. Well, because small groups are our tool for building relationships and fun. Yeah. Or so whatever reason you do small groups, I would want my volunteers to really understand. Yeah. This is why we do them. This is how it fits in the big picture. This is the overall goal and hope for small groups.
That's good.
Just clarity of purpose.
That's good.
I think
I'll go. Oh, are you done?
Oh, we're gonna go back and forth.
Yeah.
Okay,
go back and forth.
Oh, you're afraid I'm gonna take all 3 of yours. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it. Mine would be how to be relational. I think, and that could cover, how you want your leaders to be relational with students. It could also cover the boundaries that you want to set in terms of relational ministry. Mm-hmm. Like, should a leader ever be in a car alone with one student? Should you ever be in a room alone with one student? And so you can kind of cover those boundaries with training on how to be relational. Also, you can't just assume because a person is willing to do this that they know what to do sitting around a table with 4 or 5 students. Right. So you want to train, even though it may seem like they know, how to hold a conversation, but actually you're teaching them how to facilitate. Okay. And which means everyone can't talk at once, how to control the crowd, how to control the room. And so being relational is, I think, very on top of my list of, we want to make sure that we're taking care of the leaders by giving them those boundaries. Yeah. But we also want them to know, show up. You can show up for a game. You can, go to the hospital if a parent's there or.
So you're saying it's like relational meets the role of a shepherd almost.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Now I'm afraid so much else I would want to train on falls in that category because that's a very big category. Yeah. So this might fall under that. Can I get more specific?
No, totally.
I would train on the art of active listening and asking good questions. Yeah. I would train our leaders on having really big ears and a tiny mouth. Right?
That's good. Yeah.
Listen a whole lot more than you talk. Yeah. Ask open-ended questions. How to get dialogue going. Yeah. How to create a safe place for students to bring up their doubts or their struggles. Yeah. So sort of this environment that is less lecture-based, me teaching you. Yeah. Now, that's partly because our purpose for small groups is experiential. Mm-hmm. If my purpose of small groups was straight up Bible education, I might not emphasize this as much. Yeah. But in our setting, I would emphasize creating an environment where students are safe to express doubts, to ask questions. Yeah. How do you ask good questions that get honest answers from them and not just church answers? Yeah. How do you learn to shut your mouth and let the students talk and share? Yeah. So that, I'm not sure what that category is. Totally. I think it's part of relational ministry, but it's also, maybe it's this, creating the best learning environment.
That's perfect.
Might be the better category.
I would add to that also, even just bringing up the point of, how do you help, not just give them the answer, but help them come to their own conclusions. So it's more of a guiding. You're more guiding them than boom, 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 boom.
Yep, I like it.
Do the research. Read your Bible. How do you come to the conclusion of this belief?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff.
Okay.
I think another huge one would be the developmental process of students and where they are right now. And I would probably add developmental and culture. We actually do that. And it's really just letting leaders know where the student is right now developmentally. So like what, student right now, attention span is not a 30-minute talk. Like they're not ready for a 30-minute or going to sit there for a 30-minute, 40-minute lecture because of that developmental piece. They are more, different in terms of how they process information and all that stuff. And so I would teach more on the developmental piece of a student is here.
Yeah.
So because the student is here, this may be the best way to get that information to them.
Yeah.
And we found that more of a communal learning where students get to ask questions and more of an active environment helps them learn and process it better than, a 30-minute lecture at 6 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. My third one, I'm going to throw a curveball in. I don't think you'll see this one coming. I think I would now, based on some of our recent experiences, I think I would train our leaders on making sure they understand it well and can articulate the gospel. Now, however your church would describe the gospel, however your church would want you to lead a student into relationship with Jesus, I think is vital for the small group leaders to know. Because the reality is, we are giving a massive stewardship of trust with these small group leaders. If you're decentralized and they're meeting in homes, we are giving them this sacred trust. And I want them to know how to explain what the gospel of Jesus Christ is, really confidently be able to work a student through why do we need salvation. Why did Jesus do what he did, and why did he need to, and what was God thinking, and what's our state, and why do we need saving, and however that fleshes out in your theology. You want your leaders to know that, because in our experience, life groups, small groups, is where way more students come to faith in Christ than our weekend programs. It's where they ask questions. It's where they express doubts. It's where they say, well, wait a second, this doesn't make sense. And so for our leaders not to feel confident, it's a two things. One, when a student brings it up, they need to feel confident answering. And they need to feel confident so that they can prayerfully bring it up in the life of a student. If you don't feel confident with it, you're not looking for opportunities to turn that corner with a student. You're praying those opportunities never present themselves. So I would say I want to train our leaders on how to confidently express and articulate and share the gospel of Jesus Christ.
No, that's good stuff, dude. Let me just add a few. I said development and culture. The culture piece is really just like, what are they, where are they social media wise? Who are they listening to? Just having an avenue, knowing what's going on in their life, because a lot of that is expressed through Tumblr. If you have students that's on Tumblr, that's more of an emotional roller coaster. You go look on Tumblr. If your students are on there, it's an emotional roller coaster. Instagram is huge. Facebook is really for students out the door. You probably have a bunch of parents right now. If you want to connect with your parents, go on Facebook, because they are there, which is great. I love being able. Sometimes I'll just kind kind of make sure what I'm posting on Facebook, so parents can kind of like see, what I'm thinking about. Because usually I just use Twitter. Funny. But man, and parents are like, hey man, you post something inspirational, and the parents are like, hey man.
So our 6 things we would train on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get them real quick if I can.
Oh wait, the last one.
Oh, I thought that was. Oh, that you're tying that into development. I was tying that into
development.
Oh, I thought you were saying you would train them on the social media, the social world.
Yeah, I would, but I would put that together.
Gotcha.
That's not a lot.
Okay.
My last one, it's probably the most important one, depending on where you are, is the crisis training.
Ooh.
Here, all of our leaders are mandated reporters, and so if they don't report, if a kid brings up abuse, or if they bring up molestation, or they bring up suicidal thoughts, or not suicidal thoughts, but that they've thought about committing suicide, or that they've planned it out. If that stuff isn't reported, it could take they could take legal action on us, on the actual person, even the leader. And so we go through a piece. We don't do it long because we don't have that many incidents, but it's very key. It's very important that they know those issues. Man, report them as soon as possible. That's a huge piece that we get that out.
I like that. So, purpose, where it fits in, mandating reporting, developmental process, relationships, relational ministry, the gospel, and creating a great interactive learning environment. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Yeah. We're going a little bit long.
That's okay. This is a speed round for you.
Okay, speed round.
Okay. A lot of you are probably in that life group season right now, and we're going into it. And the place where it's kind of like up for grabs is parents, because, for us, we go in with the idea that, parents trust us. We have some type of, pulse on where they are. But we really don't. We have some parents who don't care that, who their kid's leader is because they're at HSM. We have some parents that do. And so we don't necessarily always get the gauge from the parent. And so I want to just throw a few questions at you in terms of expectations. How important it is for you to be communicated to by the leader.
Yep. Speed round.
Yeah.
The older the student gets, the less I need it. So when Cole or Kayla were in junior high, I wanted their life group, small group leader to communicate to us a lot. Yeah. Via email, via text. Here's where we're meeting. Here's where we're going. Here's when we'll be back. Now that Cole's a senior, I don't really care to have that much communication. Yeah. I trust he's actually had the same life group leaders all through junior high and high school. Yeah. So there's so much trust. Yeah. So I would say this: the older they are, the less you need to communicate. The younger they are, the more you need to. Okay. And the longer, the more relationship I have with that particular small group leader, the less I need communication. Yeah. So Oleg, we trust Oleg. Yeah. He's never done us wrong. So I don't need to hear from Oleg very often. If Cole happened to get a brand new life group leader this year, I would still want that life group leader to communicate with me quite a bit, because even though my son's 17, I don't know. The life group leader's new, so I want to get to know you, and I want to get a feel for what you're doing and how you're thinking. So there's a continuum in there.
Awesome. Is it important for you to be in the process of what's being taught in that instance? Is it important for you to know what's being taught?
Now, I know the correct answer should be yes, very much so. Yeah. Because I want to be the primary discipler, and I want to follow up conversations. I'm just speaking straight up from my honest heart. Yeah. It's not that important. Yeah. We trust you guys. I trust you. My son isn't a super open book. Yeah. So, when he wants to talk about it, we talk about it. Yeah. And I don't need to know what the study was. Yeah. He'll kind of go there, and I just jump on it. But again, some parents would probably say, I would really love to know everything. Yeah. So I can be a good addition to that. And others, quite frankly, because they want to make sure that we're teaching sound doctrine and all that, I think it should be available. Yeah. Put it that way. I think available. I don't want any secrets. Yeah. Anything I ask, I want an answer to. Yeah. So what do you guys teach? I want you guys to tell me what you teach.
Yeah.
Who's the host home? What are the host home? Are they believers?
Yeah.
Are there guns in the host home?
Yeah.
Like anything I want a question. Anytime I have a question, I want you guys to give me the answer.
Yeah.
But I don't expect you to always provide it up front.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think the biggest thing that I took from that is, and I think you're one of the spectrum, on one end of the spectrum, but there's definitely a broad spectrum where parents are kind of like all over the place. Yeah. Some are in this space, some are, I mean, I know I've seen it in my own life group.
Yeah.
And what I've kind of like tried to do is gauge each parent.
Yep.
The way they engage each parent, the way they want to be engaged within each group. And I think that's a great point to tell to your leaders is know your parents at least. Because, some parents don't want that meticulous email that they get. They just delete it.
And in different degrees, again, the unchurched parent who has no interest in spiritual things but just lets their kid go because why not? If you're into it, I'm fine. Yeah. To the church parent who's all in. Yeah. Helicopter spiritual parent, right? No matter where they are, we are still, you can make a strong case that youth ministry is not in the reaching teenagers business. Yeah. You can make a pretty strong case that youth ministry is in the winning the trust of parents of teenagers business. Yeah. Because if we don't win their trust, or if we lose their trust, even the parent who is completely uninterested,
who don't care,
we can lose their trust. As soon as we mistreat their kid, we've lost their trust, right? And by the way, sometimes those completely uninterested parents are the quickest to yank their kid. Yeah. Because they're barely letting them go. They have no interest in it. And as soon as we mess up, that kid's out.
Looking for a
They're
reason.
looking for a reason to say, and
this
so
isn't working. Yeah.
My biggest expectation is I want you to keep my trust. And when the small group leader does something stupid and gets a speeding ticket with my son in the car, I lost some trust. Yeah. When I do look at the lesson and I'm like, that is the crappiest lesson. Yeah. that's what my son, you lost a little bit of trust. When a small group leader posts a picture of him at a party, and I don't care that my son's small group leader drinks a beer, but when it looks like all he ever does is post pictures of him at parties around a keg and cute girls in bikinis with a beer, now you're losing trust, right? Yeah. When the small group event doesn't get home when they said they would get home. Yeah. So, then the big ones, right? Yeah. You assault my son verbally. Yeah. You physically haze him in order to call him out from his friends. Yeah. Any of that stuff. Now you're losing my trust. Yeah. So just keep my trust. Yeah. And good. You've got 8 or 9 or 7 parents, and they all have different things that cause them to lose trust, and it's part of the business. Yeah. As a small group leader, it's part of the gig is to figure out you got to be consistent at certain points, and then at other points you treat every single student as an individual based on where they're at and where their parents are at.
That's all good, that good stuff. That's good.
All right, is that it?
Yeah, our time is up.
Good.
Great being with you guys this week. Peace out.